Hello YouTubers, hello and welcome back. Just come in, sat down, switched the camera on, which is basically where we left the radio the last time we did a recording. I even put myself a little note. You're looking for radio sheets on the left back floor. That's because they fell down the back there and went on the floor, so I know where they are because I know that I would forget. I got this. It's just something really to talk about. I got this little thing just to try it out really, and I basically rolled up the solder in the usual kind of way and tried to get it inside there, which it did, and I found it so useful in pulling the solder out, but it doesn't hold very much solder. So this is one of the pots that we get in the hospital to pee in for pee testing. And I thought, you know what, that's a fantastic size. Look how much solder we could get in there. So I was going to clean the labels off so that now we could see inside how much solder there is, and coil up some solder and stick it in there, put a little hole in the top. I think that'll work champion, don't you? Yeah. That's just what I was thinking. Now we've done just about everything we can do to the top of the chassis. That's a matter of putting these springs back and turning it over and switching it on. I also got some more good news. I still don't believe it, even now this minute. But the other radio's turned up. They delivered it to a neighbour. Now the radio is exactly the same as this, so now we have 3 of these. So I'm going to go into the other room and I'm going to show you the case so you can see the 2 different styles. You've seen the cream one. Okay, now I'm going to show you the other one. And this is the other one. Now I'm going to tell you something funny that you'll get a laugh out of. Normally I wouldn't do this, but the person in question I think is being rather silly, as you'll find out in a minute. This radio cost me £20, don't mind telling you, and it cost £10 for them to ship it to me, which I paid. They originally advertised it as will not post, please collect, and I asked them very nicely if you would please post it. They agreed. It took a long time, bit of patience, and it came. You know the radio we're working on now, and you see what that one is, Murphy 674. Now if you go onto eBay, it's still there, and look up Murphy 674, exactly the same colour, same radio in original condition, as they have said, as I've had emails with them, telling them how silly they are, charging over 150 something pound. Originally I think it was 200 and something pound, 250 or 260 pound. Still charging well over £100, as you will see. Have a look at what they're charging for this same radio that cost me £30 with the postage. Way too much. Right, just to let you know what I'm doing right now is I've undone all the wires to this rig. We'll call it a rig. Temporary rig. And I wasn't happy with the way the wires was all tangled all over the place. So I'm tidying them up with these cable ties, making it neat. Neat to me means less dangerous. So that's what I'm doing. I'm now sorting out a rig, the same way we had it before, voltmeter. We're going to do our light bulb and amp meter, so that we can see what's going on. Basically, same as before. You've seen this rig many times with many different people. We're doing this because, remember, we've been in this chassis doing all kinds of things. Don't want to take any chances. So we're making ourselves safe. Right, we've tidied up all the wires. We've got 4 blocks that we are no longer using. That worries me a bit. So what I'm going to do now is stick my multimeter across them 2 points there and see if we have a short or not before we hook it up to radio. We shouldn't see a short. Right, I have my two leads across, positive and negative. Red is positive, green is negative, and we're showing no shorts. Now I just want to reiterate what we've said in the past. The reason why these wires are too long is because I plan to use this wire again somewhere else. That's why the wire is too long, because this is temporary. It's not really ideal to do this on long term. We need a proper bench setup. But this is the next best thing if you still want to use a rig like this. What I plan to do is to redo the wire ends, which might start fraying after a while on some of the connections. Get them before they break altogether, because this is obviously flexing all over the place. So I've tidied it up the best I can. I think we're alright. What we've got to do now is connect up this, put our valves in. Speaker's already connected up. Got to take this valve out of here because it's not the right one. That's that broken valve, the one that came out of the tuner. We want to see this radio working before we open up this box, taking these screws out. Now it did say on the schematic that if you change any capacitors in here, you have to realign. Well, it doesn't matter. We have to do that anyway, don't we? So let's see what we've got and what we haven't got. So let's place all the valves, join it all up and see what happens. Hopefully music. Right, we've got all our valves in and we've got it all wired up, but we've forgotten our buttons. So we're going to do that next. We're going to go and get the springs and screws and screw all these where they're supposed to be. All the valves are in. I should have put that in first really before I'd done the valves, but I forgot. Just double checked everything and that's what I spotted. So let's sort that out. Let's go and find that. Right, after a lot of fiddling about, I've got this side to look how it's supposed to. These tags of the like Formica, they have to come through, but also these have to come through as well. Now on this end I'm trying to get this in, but the problem is trying to line these ones up. Where is the camera? That one there, and this one is just floating around. I can't get it lined up at the moment, so that's what I'm trying now. It's starting to get a bit tedious, but we'll persevere. More fun and games, and as you can see, more resistors, dog bones. Right, I've got the buttons working, I think, but they're not exactly the way it was. Just can't do it. I think it needs to take the whole lot apart completely and do it with it out of the chassis. Lesson to be learned. Won't do it again. Won't take these springs off these again. Right, so this is our putting. Our variac is turned off, turned down to 0. We've checked all of this lot, as you know, because you've just seen it. So the line's on for the isolation. Isolation is just turned on. Oh dear. We're still having an issues. Damn. That's just blown the fuse again. Hasn't been turned on all day. Just turned it on now for the first time. That's a nuisance. Right, there it is there. We put a multimeter across there and we are getting a noise, as it were, detecting that there's a short, because there's a fuse in it. So what I've done is for now I've looped the wire around, so we're back to what we was before we put the fuse in. So let's see what happens now. This is ridiculous, this is. Right, everything's turned off, isolation's turned off, Variac's turned off, everything's turned off. Right, turn on the main lead, let's turn on our Variac. No, sorry, turn on our isolation. There we go. We're back to square one again, lads. Slow blow did work, but it hasn't worked now. So gonna have to come up with plan B on that one. It's annihilated two fuses basically. There's the two fuses there. This first one, see the state of that? That's a slow blow 5 amp, and this one, the cleaner looking one, is 6.3 amp, and it's knocked that one out as well. There's a 5 amp back in there, but that's that. Well, right, okay, we're back to square one again. So let's clear all this off and get this radio tested. Right, we're ready to switch on. Our isolation is back on again. As I say, it's not satisfactory. We're going to have to go to a plan B. More playing around. Thought we had that same as you guys. Obviously not. Right, Variac turned down. Variac now hot. Hot, 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 hot. Radio is selected to medium wave, so is on. And make sure we've got nothing underneath the chassis anywhere that we don't want. No, everything's fine. Got a light down this end. Oh, here's a capacitor poking its leads up. We don't want that anywhere near here while we're powering anything up, so I think that's it. I could do with a kitchen towel for the tuner. Let's go and find a kitchen towel. Remember, this is now a virgin radio again, in that we treat it as being untested now. Right, time to start powering up. Amp meter's coming up. Light bulb is still. Let's turn our light out. Our voltage is on 100. We have some light bulbs glowing very dimly. Goody, goody, goody. 100 volts. 150. We're sort of halfway between 0 and 200 milliamps, so that's 100 milliamps so far, according to that. See if our volume is turned up. Yeah, volume is turned up. Go up to just a bit more. It's just under 200. Our bulb is not lit, which is good. It's just creeped up a little bit above the 100 milliamps. Valve's starting to warm up. It's good. Let's go just over the 200. A little bit. Our ampage is coming up slightly, but it's still within the limits. No whistles or bangs or smoke. Brilliant. got a buzz in the speaker. Let's see if we can tune anything. Got a bit of static there. Let's turn the voltage up a bit more. I hope you can see that okay. And then nearly at the full voltage. Amperage is coming up. That's now full voltage now. Just under 200 milliamps. Turn the volume down a little bit. Remember, there's no aerial in this. That's long. This is long wave. Let's select medium wave.
Shall we talk girls' trip?
Yes, let's breeze ahead to girls' trip. This is girls' trip without.
This is medium wave.
Possibly one of those mispunctuated.
Right, let's go VHF. Still got that issue. Right, that is to do with alignment. Alignment is way out. So be lucky to pick up anything really very much. Yeah. Turn the volume down a little bit. Be very lucky to pick up anything. Remember, there's no aerial in this. I think all this is just alignment, you know. I've got static there. We're picking up something very slightly there, static, but that's because the alignment's way out. That's all that is. This is medium wave again. Right, let's go and stick an aerial in the back and see what we get. Right, that's what we got now. Our I don't know if that's not as bright as before or different, because remember we changed the resistor on that.
After years abound. It was great to see both Smith and Queen Latifah in a film together again since set. The standout performance was.
See, when the stations are close by,
this was indeed a star-making turn for her.
Very, very strong.
Insanely funny and over-the-top Dina.
Nice, clear.
She provided the film's raunchier moments. It's refreshing to see black women having the same raucous fun as their white male counterparts, a la Hangover. And I hope that we get to see more films like this, and not heavily historical or biographical pieces, which are great and necessary, but do not reflect the lives of black women today. Where are we going to go next then?
Let's go 47 metres down.
Oh, do we have to? Okay.
We do, and just so
Deep breath.
47 metres down is 150 feet, give or take. It is also a new horror
well, we
film,
haven't made it any worse.
suspense, claustrophobic thriller film by a very prolific.
But as I say, I'm pretty sure that the reason why we're having trouble with the VHF section is because of them trimmer pots being way out, all three of them.
And even Philip Ridley's Heartless sort of kind of films that genre as well. But anyway, this is a claustrophobic thriller where you have.
I think once it's aligned, I think we might be in business.
We go on a girly holiday to Mexico together. Claire Holt plays the.
Let's try a long wave.
to his car in the race course, explaining why he lost the odds.
By the way, that's the time. In case anyone's wondering what time we're doing this. Yeah, not a lot really. It's mostly medium wave.
But going back to the question, I look forward to the start of the season. I look forward to...
By the way, that resistor that we changed on this pot, remember? I thought that was something else, not the volume control. It is the volume control. So that was the volume control that we changed the resistor on, remember? 390 ohms. Forget what it was reading now without getting the schematic out, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with this.
With you, and it does garner and gain.
I'm very pleased with this, you know.
Enthusiasm. I do have a cynicism towards football because I have seen it. I do believe it's the Emperor's New Clothes, but I also believe that it lifts people out of their lives and gives them something that ignites them, excites them, and I think that's the greatness of sport. I'm not putting words in your mouth, so I'll say what I believe. I've said it before.
Turn the old volume down a bit so we can hear ourselves think. That's what amperage is withdrawing, just under 200 milliamps. Just under, if that's accurate, that is. So I'm now happy I've tidied up my wiring. So we will trim all these long ties off that we don't need. We'll keep this like this. This is our rig for testing radios for the moment. But looks like we're in trouble with the isolation. That's starting to drive me around the bend.
And said, I'm going to give him or her a belt round the head unless you pick that football up and put it in that giant object. The goals are huge down the far end of that pit. You would pick it up in your hand, but you're not allowed to pick it up. So
remember, the aerial probably isn't satisfactory because the pins got well and truly bent. I can't stay on that too long, copyright. See, the thing is with copyright is people like you and me, we wouldn't abuse the fact, but there always will be somebody who will just play music over and over again, like it is on the CBs. And that's what mucks it up for everybody. Well, I must admit, alright, there's probably not a horrific difference, but there is some difference. I'm much more happier with this now than what it was before. Let's get it off of that. As I say, we found some resistors that were quite a way out. You know, don't need to tell you what happened, you've seen the videos. So next thing is to have a look in the tuner. Now I think we will find dog bone resistors in there, so probably it will be a matter of having a look to see what is in there, and if there isn't anything in there worth worrying about, we'll leave it alone. So I'm going to turn all this off and we'll have a look in there now, I think, before we close. Let's just turn the power off and see what it does. Yeah. Give us a second, I'll be back. And put the screws and star washers straight into a baggie before we do anything else, so they don't go missing. Right, hang on a sec. Right, I thought I spotted something, I'm not sure now. You can see there's like a cheese head screw out. It's tight, and there's another one. There's another one on the other side. Just see it. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that or not. Not a clue. So we'll leave it until we find out more. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. So now we know what's in that box. I think it's a question of leaving that box alone, which means we have come to an abrupt end on this radio for the moment. As far as doing any more replacing parts, but the job we do have is to start looking at voltages on pins and things, and obviously it needs aligning badly because of those presets underneath, as we've mentioned many times. Now remember, that wasn't a very good aerial, the connections on the end. Let me just show you this before we depart. This radio was well and truly in a right mess, as you know. You saw it. I'm going to try and zoom in as much as I can. I'll tell you what, give us a sec, I've got a better idea. Let's do what we've been doing before. Let's go and get my phone. I'll show you better so you know what we're looking at. That is you looking at my phone, looking at the socket. See how bent them pins are? They're really, really bad. They won't fit in the holes because the pins aren't straight. They're bent and cockeyed, and where it's tried to bend the pin over, it's buckled. Just can't get it in the holes. So it's going to need a new plug of some kind, or do something with them pins. We don't know. We'll have to see how we go. But that is the aerial for it, like the antenna for it, as it were. You could probably attach a bigger aerial to it to pick up more stations when you're on the long wave and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's the mess it's in. So as I say, this radio was well and truly trashed, as you know. So anyway, I'm going to post this video. The next time we'll be looking at this chassis will be to take voltages and write them on a different schematic, as we discussed. But we're going to go to plan B on the isolation transformer. See what we can come up with. I don't know, I have to think about it. I wasn't planning on doing that this weekend. I wanted to look at something else completely different. But anyway, that's enough of that for the minute. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. This is the third video I have made, but not released. We'll be releasing them. I'm very, very interested in what Doug's playing around with, though. With his NE55 making a little transmitter thing. I really like the sound of that. I'd like to have a mess around with that myself if I get a chance. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, because I have a pile of NE55s as well. 555s, 35s. But yeah, okay then. Wish you all the best. Goodbye, and thank you very much for watching. See you when I see you. Ta-da.